Hello guys, LukeJ speaking. Welcome to Book Reviews, episode number 32. Now, about 3 days ago, as I mentioned last episode, Bob Barker has recently passed away at the age of 99. Over 100 days before he turned 100 years old. So, today we're going to read you chapter 10 of Bob Barker's Priceless Memories in honor of him. So let's just read it now, shall we? So we got for us. Chapter 10. Hooray for Hollywood. 1950 to 1981. Okay? Here it is. A few chapters back, I wrote that Dorothy Joe and I came to California by way of Palm Beach, Florida, okay? Actually, our sense of direction was not that bad, okay? Excuse me, okay, anyway. We have enjoyed Florida. My friend Billy Moody was watching this anyway. So much when I was in the Navy, and that decided that we would try out as civilians, something like that. Excuse me, okay, anyway. I was 25 years old when I was auditioning the job at WPG. Okay, that makes more sense. Anyway, a lovely station on the beach in Palm Beach, and I was hired. The manager of the station, Charlie Davis, also helped Darby Joe to get a job teaching biology at West Palm Beach High School. Wow, okay. We lived in Florida from summer 1949 to the summer 1950. Okay. The highlight of the year for me professionally was my performance at Santa Claus during the Christmas season. Wow. So far we're getting closer, and then we have pictures, highlights in this upcoming book coming up. But highlight press. See how long this book is. Okay. Makes a whole lot of sense now. Anyway. The claim have never been disputed, okay? That was the best Santa Claus that Palm Beach have ever had. Wow. Or probably will ever have. Makes sense anyway. Santa Claus is sponsored by a couple of tire stores. If you watch this, so most accurate for you guys. Anyway. In Palm Beach. Anyway. It will appear that one store and then the other every other day. Excuse me. Okay, anyway. Well, actually every other evening. Wow. Okay. You see, Santa was on the radio during the cocktail hour. Okay. A huge advantage when it came into rains. Okay. And speaking of Santa Claus in the third person, because I was step out of the Palm Beach sandals, slacks, and sports shirt, and into my athletic in every detail Santa suit, I became Santa. Even the chap who owned the tire stores said that the transformation was phenomenal. Wow. He agreed that I became Santa Claus, and I shall always cherish the Santa experience. You always wonder in the eyes of shoving the tots become a lump of my throat, and I dealt that with all the respect and tenderness that I could muster. Wow, okay. But there was older kids as well. One kid about 9 years old, girls are 19. Wow. Said, what did you do if I reach up there and pull that phony beard tie up your face? Kid, you have to explain to do. Anyway, Santa replied, if you ever touch Santa's beard, you might not live long enough to grow a beard yourself. Agree with this Santa Claus Bob Barker kid. you have to do something. Anyway, being heard during the cocktail hour, Sam received bags of mail not only for the children but also for the adults as well, like me. But I wasn't born yet when it happened. Shut up. Anyway, one lovely lady wrote, "Dear Sam, my husband and I listen to you every evening. The more Martins we have, the more we love Sam. It was a Merry Christmas, but Sam was canceled on December 26th. Wow. So me and Mrs. Claus decided to go to California, and soon as the school year ended. Wow. While we were in Florida, Dorothy Joe and I did some modeling for Nelson Morris. A New York photographer who came down to Fort Palm Beach, okay, to shoot photos for the gasoline company. Hers was the face of that launched 1,000 ships, okay? I can't pronounce this word, sorry. For some ladies, when that, okay, that's not pronounced, okay, it makes some more sense there. With cargoes and gasolines, okay? I was a smiling gasoline incident. Wow, okay. For years in Florida, our face peeked out for you for ads on road maps, okay? During one of our photo sessions, I told Nelson that we were heading west, okay? And he kindly suggested that I met a colleague of his in Hollywood. Wow. Hold on, let me free up some space because my computer does not want that. Oh, come on, I don't want it to quit my apps. Anyway, continue on. Anyway, might have some work for me as a model till I ran appointments in radio. Wow, okay. He gave me his colleague card, which I thanked him more of it later. Darby Joe and I arrived in Hollywood on August 13th, okay, of 1950, okay? I have no job, no agent, no contacts of any kind. We were candidates ripe and starving. Wow. I remember we were up on Las Vegas, where it turns left and comes down to Franklin. Wow, okay. On the eastern edge of Griff Park, we look up and over the sea, and it was a blanket of smog. Wow, okay. Darby Joe turned to me and said, "Barker, whatever you get guided me to." Wow. But it was a very short time. She came to love Hollywood. Wow. She loved it until the day she died. How we could not love Hollywood? Exactly. Anyway, it has been so good to us. Upon our arrival into the entertainment capital of the world, first item the agenda was an apartment, which Darby Joe probably found on Las Palmas, just south of the Hollywood Boulevard. Wow, okay. And only 2 blocks from the office of Ralph Edwards Productions, where I was signed a contract 6 years later. Okay. It was a large 2-story apartment house with marriage type. I have to this word. Sorry. Okay, this is the word I cannot pronounce. Sorry. Architecture built around it. Attractive country yard. Makes sense anyway. We have a first floor, 1-bedroom apartment with a dining area. The next page. Then the appliances were furnished, and Darby Joe wasted no time buying. Okay, furniture. Within a few days, Darby Joe Love No Love Entertain. Okay, anyway. Okay, moving on. Next, Love to Entertain was ready to have a party. Wow, okay. All I needed was gas. And it wasn't too long before we had those as well. Okay. Our apartment was where we have a half block of north of Southside Boulevard. A short stroll for us to see the famous Hollywood Christmas parade in December of 1950. Wow. Okay. Anyway, we thought it was a very excited wave to the stars as they rode by Darby Joe and I had the pleasure of riding the Hollywood Christmas parade together several times before during the 30 years. In 2007, I was Grand Marshal of the Hollywood Christmas Parade. Wow. And was joined the Grand Marshals of Antiques Louise by my brother, Kent. Wow. And his lovely wife, Beth. My heart ached, and I was waved to the folks at the corner of Sunset at Las Palmas, where Darby Joe and I have stood and waved at the stars more than a half century ago. Wow. Anyway, once we were insured, card in the Hollywood Digs, okay? D-I-G-S. Anyway, makes sense anyway. I went to visit the photographer whose card I had been given back in Florida. Okay? The studio was a short drive from our apartment on Vine Street, south of Sunset Boulevard. Fortunately, he had no work for me. Wow. But he suggested that I have go see a friend of his who might be able to use me. Wow. Fatty picked up a phone and called his friend, who agreed to see me immediately. Makes sense anyway. I drove down Vines and to Santa Monica Boulevard with a friend who might be able to use me. The book was located. Wow, okay. I was ushered right into the fellow's office by a woman of 60 or more who wore too much makeup. Okay? And this office was reasonably well furnished. Dark wood and very mysterious. Sorry. The man was wearing a good-looking white shirt, something like that. A nice tie and no coat. Wow. He had a good tan and his hot hair was carefully combed. I remember the whole scene vividly because although it took him about 10 minutes to say so in carefully couch language. Wow. This guy whom I had been able to use me offered me the opportunity to work in pornographic movies. Wow. I laughed all the way home, and I couldn't wait to tell Darby Joe. I rushed in and I said, "Honey, I have been offered a role in a pornographic movie." Wow. Darby Joe said, "Do you take it?" Then in 1950, there was an FM radio station on Sunset Boulevard, not too far from the apartment. Wow, okay. There was intended to become the mother station for the FM network, and I decided to try to get a job as a salesman in the FM station. I wanted to sell some sort of audience promotion show and host it myself. I made an appointment with a sales manager, Scott named Warfy Marsham. Having now, sorry, last name. Excuse me. Anyway, was destined to become a good, very, which is always took up for him to determine something like that. Excuse me. Okay, anyway, that will never would sold anything. Wow, but our conversation has been fun. Where we have a dry sense of humor that we appreciated, and although I was in his offices under false presence, he seemed to enjoy our conversations as well. He said, "I'm about to get out the Cracker Barrel Market in the San Fernando Valley." Excuse me. Okay, anyway. The pictures show to originate in the market. Makes sense anyway. You go with me to help me to sell it. And if we do, you can host it. I said, let's go. And we went and we struck out. But in addition to being sales manager of the radio station, Worthy managed an apartment. Next page. Anyway. House. In our way back to Hollywood, we stopped in an appliance store for something. Worthy needed an apartment house. Okay. It was Rick's appliance on Ledge, east of Lexington Boulevard in North Hollywood. Roy Rick was a big, broad-shouldered, good-looking guy who had been hitchhiking out in Los Angeles from Iowa. Something like that. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah, my glasses are blurry when I'm reading. Anyway, with only $8 in his pocket. Wow. Okay. He had a series of jobs and ended up cutting meat in a supermarket. Wow. Okay. Where he had a chance to meet lots of housewives. Wow. Lapsus Barrett said that lots of lots of housewives has a chance to meet Rick. Come on, excuse me, okay. Rick, people still call him Roy. So he should take advantage of his popularity in that part of the San Fernando Valley. And decided that his appliance store in North Hollywood would be a good way to do it. The store Worthy and I into the August 1950. Worthy, Rick, and I talked long enough for Rick and he to learn, but I have just arrived in Hollywood. Wow. He was seeking an appointment and as a host of the audience Productions radio show. Suddenly Rick said, "Bob, I'd like to call your job." Jib, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, it's J-I-B, not J-O-B. I want you to do the show for me. I was wondering what a jib it was. Rick was on to say the auditorium in the Department of Water Power office. Nearby Lexington Boulevard was available to him free of a charge. Rick said that the water and power company would provide a home encouragement like that, and all the supplies required from the cooking class. They provide a freezer abomination, something like that. A washer and dryer abomination of any other appliances, so long as it's plugged in. All this will be free, Rick said. It will fill the auditorium, something like that. Excuse me. With women, who will be concentrated, sure. Oh, yeah. Anyway. Post-trade purchaser or something like that, yeah. It just happened parentheses for some reason. Anyway. of appliances powered by electricity, okay? Who do you think, Bob? Rick asked. I said, that's great, but what about the cost of radio time and my salary? I'm a Hot Point appliance dealer and a Zenith television dealer, and I sell both. They split the tab, and you can be doing and being women. I bring them to have to drive by and pick them up. I said, and I did. I said we did. Darby Joe and I sat down that night and put together some ideas down that we were time-tested winners. Missouri and/or Florida. Okay. And I was back at Rick's appliances, and the next day, anyway, and Rick gets to the show sold July Point incentive, didn't deliver it very quickly. No, before I got home. Excuse me. Okay. Well, almost. The deal was signed, sealed, and was delivered very quickly. I missed one spot in the line. Sorry, I missed. Okay. Warby Mersham was a part of it, and now we represented the radio station WKIK. KWIK. I misspelled the radio station's wrong, but anyway. In Burbank, and we bought the time for him. Warby was a busy young man. KWIK, FM Radio's network, an apartment house where he'd sleep. So Joe and I had arrived in Hollywood in August, and we did our first show for Rick in September. The show was very successful. Woman was coming to the far corners of the San Fernando Valley with 2 at 10. Rick was seeing lots of new faces in the store as well. We all very happy. Best was yet to come. The folks at Belkin's Furniture Sales Division heard about the show, pay us a visit. As a result, I did a few television commercials for them. It was my first appearance on television, and Darby Joe and I did it. Next page, anyway. Now, after this next page right here, there's some photographs about Bob Barker. Right, just I can read this. Anyway, it's like we're on 182 right now, so we're gonna read this scene, and we'll get to our pictures. Okay. Okay. Anyway, even in our television as yet, but the show is a unique method of selling appliances. Okay. It wasn't long before the manufacturers would send representatives out in the North Hollywood to scour the auctions like that. Excuse me, okay, anyway. One of those scholars was Hal Clapper, something like that. A young executive with Westinghouse, okay? Westinghouse is a talent show on the local NBC television station called Your Big Moment. Some of the people with Westinghouse were happy with the excuse me, like that. And how convinced them that I was a man that they needed. Your Big Moment was my first television show as a host. I remember my opening was, welcome your big moment. The show we give you if you have the talent, your big moment on television. We have some really talented people, and a few were not on the show. Al Cooper with his wife, and Darby Joe and I have become close friends as well. Occasionally, the Department of Water Power Billy, where I come in my first show in California. It's only 3 blocks from where the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences completes now stands. In 2004, I was inducted in the Television Hall of Fame. Right there in the Academy Beer. And my boss was mounted and Pressure in the Cabby Country Yard. Darby, Joe, and I made the right decision, and we were aiming our yellow Baker West. Anyway, move on. And I was excited and very pleased that learned that Mars Talon, an executive of the Southern California Edition Company, was in the audience for a show one day. Better still, I was still glancing at him from time to time. It was worth laughing and applauding, and I figured that had a good sign. And I was right. A couple of. Now, before we begin our next several pages, okay, last several pages, I'm going to show you some pictures, okay? From top, giving cookies to Luke, Carlos, and John. And above, what left was Mr. Rabbit and Honey Bunny playing in the hallway. Above the right is Mama and Bubby baby ducks. And the pool and right was Jesse. Now, that's the picture you're going to see in the pets thing. Have your pets pay your new thing from Bob Barker, seen here. So, there you go with these pets things, seen here. Anyways, move on to the next page, and that is all the Bob Barker stuff in the Bob Barker studio. With some Miami's opposite top. Receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award in the Emmys. Opposite bottom, flag just made the 500th show, and they naming the Studio Free the Bob Barker Studio in 1998. That was all there for Bob Barker seen here. So, there you go. That's Bob Barker for you, ladies and gentlemen. So, there you go. And maybe the next pages are as follows. There are two of them, by the way. Right was basically with a happy winner and the Price is Right. Below that is a special Price is Right from the Army. There are some pictures of Darby Joe. Okay? Top was Darby Joe with the yellow Scarbager and the farm there, Double X in Lakeport, Florida, 1950. And the left was on above was the ads of Darby Joe and I modeled the Florida, Florida for Cool Mario commercial. Now, see here are some pictures you saw from the left page. There's the Price is Right, and the other ones were for Darby Joe, seen here. So there you go on that. Yeah. And the last, and we're not done yet. We're not done yet. Seen here, we're above left, Darby Joe and Me, Christmas of 1965. Wow. And the friend's house, and above that, right, with Darby Joe on the stairs in his house. Below that, we're getting my start on the Walk of Fame of May 1976. May 5th. My mother is on the far left. Darby Joe was, and Ralph Edwards are beside me. And then above Darby Joe and me, left is right on the beach and Bob X during the 1980 Miss USA pageant. Now this is seen here from the USA Miss, and it's a pageant from the entire thing. He was retired now, and he died 3 days ago at the age of 99, as I mentioned before. We'll get to that in the in the 5th episode, so there you go. Right there. Now, before we get to Happy Gilmore thing in the next pages, anyway, we got above hosting Miss USA pageant, right, was past winners Miss USA and Miss Universe. Anyway. Below that is Nancy Burnett and Price is Right Bob Barker, leading the Opera March down 5th Avenue in New York City in 1990. The left was Happy Gilmore in 1996, and Happy Bassin Productions and first founded in the early 2000s. I appreciate Adam Sandler very much. Adam Sandler and me and Bob Barker and on location shooting Happy Gilmore. And below that is Adam Sandler and me and Bob Barker arriving in a golf cart for the premiere of Happy Gilmore in theaters in 1996. I was only one when this first came out, but then again, it was all there. So there you go on that. Now, is this the end? No, it's not the end. Okay, that makes sense. Anyway, above that were as follows. Today was a special celebrating on my 50 years on television in 2007. Eligible such 12 year. Anyway. Moving now to Rich Reels, Barker's Beauties. And below that is Dennis Weaver, Diane Shore, and Bob Barker on the Diane Shore Show. The top hosting was Bob Barker Fun and Game Show in St. Louis and Missouri, and the night we broke the attendance on the record on the old checkerboard and dome. Above that was Jackie Chan of I've seen him around the world 80 days at the time. But anyway, hosted back for me around 1975, just after he arrived in the United States. Wow. Okay. And left was Roy Rogers and Dale Allens, Grand Marshals of the Rose Parade. Does that make sense to you? It's good enough. So, those are the pictures seen here. So, there you go on that. You can see Bob Barker in these pictures. So, there you go. Sorry it was too close in these pictures, but we're almost done here. And with actress, above was actress and my co-host June Lockhart, interviewing the 1970 Rose Parade, Grand Marshals, Apollo 12 astronauts, Charles Garrard Jr., Richard F. Gordon, and Alan L. B. This makes more sense anyway. While interviewing parade Grand Marshals, Lee, I can't pronounce his last name, sorry. Below that is Laura Sweat, Zaza Garber, who now passed away, Bob, and the Imagination Press Conference. And above that was with his now wife, Nancy Burnett. So the pictures make sense. So if you get closely enough, you know what I meant by that. And we're almost done. So we're almost done with pictures seen here. But anyway, now that's Bob Barker. If you look closely, opposite high holding awards with Paul's for my efforts to behalf of the Project X chimpanzees. And Temperside at the top was testified in Washington before some corporate finding of the Department of I can't pronounce that, sorry. Regarding the treatment of captive elephants. They go bark. Joking. Anyway, and above that was Bob Barker's house. And before he died. So there's this picture of Bob and the chimpanzees, and there's Bob right in these two pictures seen here. And that will be, and then the last page, the picture seen here. Okay. Love these pictures were as follows. Okay. Ed Stewart, Nancy Burnett, and Bob Barker, and Pat Derby, and the Paul's Wildlife Sanctuary near San Andreas, California, in May 2008. Below that was my family at the home. Bob Regula, Peter Kelly, Julie Rodriguez, along with her son, Noah, and Bob Barker, had, Vidara, something like that. Kat Vidara, Vicky, Vidara Kelly, and Kat Vidara Jr. Wow. That's a lot of people in Bob Barker's world. So that's all the pictures we have in these Bob Barker books. So, see here. So, there you go on that. Let's continue our read. Okay? We're almost done with chapter 10. So, we have about 3. No, that's too far. And about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 more chapters. 6 more parts in the book left, and we're gonna move on to chapter 11 for episode 33. Anyway, but we're not done yet. We still have this anyway. A couple of days later, anyway, I met with Mr. Talon, anyway, in his office, okay, in downtown Los Angeles. Well, okay. It was not a man with waste time, okay? With small talk, he probably said, Bob, you're doing one show a week out there, North Hollywood. Wow, okay. Excuse me. Anyway. How would you like to do 6 shows a week for Edison? Wow, okay. Over Southern California. I like that, I applied. Now, and those words, we launched a relationship at almost 8 years with Darby Joe. Wow. Me with the Southern California Edison Company. Wow, okay. We did 2 shows a day, 3 days a week, in towns and cities, with the beach, and San Bernardino in the east, okay? And from South Los Angeles to Lancaster in the north, okay? Talks about experience. A guy, hours and hours of it, and no matter how much talent you have in doing audience predation, there's no substitutes for experience, okay? Our shows for Rory Rick in the Department of Warren Powered Auditorium in the Southern California edition electric living centers was immediately successful because they were unique for character. Wow. To the best of my knowledge, no materiality has been used from the radio show to attract women to appliance, something like that. Excuse me, forget it. And the audience predation show was a perfect vehicle. Wow. Okay. So with his festivities, Darby Jo went on stage, introduced herself, and apparently established a party atmosphere that prevailed throughout the day. An action home communist like that, excuse me, forget it. Conducted prior to the domination that was informative and fun. And then Ally came to and select contestants. Wow, okay. Makes sense anyway. To start a radio show. Show some contestants before we began taping. But not all. I wanted folks in the audience to know that still have a chance to participate right up until sign off. Excuse me, okay, right. One of the staples in the radio show was the content in which, next page, anyway, half a dozen of ladies discuss what such subjects as my husband's worst fault. Wow, okay. Anyway, my own worst mistake, how to get a man, okay, etc., etc., okay? Okay. Of course, the audience would chose the winner. Sometimes Darby Joe was more commercial to the tune of the well-known song, okay? I would have fun auditioning ladies by having them sing scales. Wow. Eventually I chose a quartet and they sang a commercial. Wow. Maybe I would go on a search for a lady who have been married the longest the oldest lady. Wow. Or the lady with the most children. The most middle-aged lady was sure to stop the winner. And at the time, the average age of women in the United States was 72. Excuse me, okay. So we were middle-aged at 36. Okay. Someone couldn't handle that. One time I was looking at a woman who could do things, and the elderly lady raised her hand. Madam, what did you collect? I asked. She said, Sonny, I have been married 4 times, and it was quite a collection. Wow. Anyway, how could a show without have mutual possibility miss? And although things were progressing spreadly, there was an uncertainty looking in the background of all the radio activity. I was still in the naval reserve, something like that. Excuse me, okay. The Korean War has broken out by this time. Wow. There's some speculation actually I considered in a strong possibility. Wow. That I could be called up for duty. Wow. Only aviators were automatically in the naval reserves, okay, for the number of years. I was checked out in the car as a propeller-driven plane, and they were using it at that time, okay, in Korea. I was never thinking that the naval might call me up, okay, to get more trained in the newer jets, okay. Okay, and they might be with me come to fly short missions. Excuse me, but anyway, either way, I consider it in a distant possibility. I would never be thinking that when I did go hack, I would go back. Excuse me, anyway, in the service. I just want to stay in the Navy because I did not feel like coming back and out of Hollywood and starting all over again. But apparently my destiny was sealed because, once again, the war ended without my help. I never piloted another airplane in my life. Darby Joe and I have also developed it, sold out our own local television show during this period. The show was on KHJ, someone that, excuse me, okay, on Wine Street. I met Jerry Martin, something like that, who was with the advertising agency. And Jerry had a client, an independent druggist who was not found in the large drug chain, something like that. The chest had a product, and he wanted to market and promote. He believed he had a solution to teenagers' procrastination problems. The product was called Teen Ketone, something like that. He wanted a television show for that would attract teenagers, okay, who would hopefully buy jars and jars of Ketone. Wow, okay. Darby Joe and I have a talent show. We focus on high school students. Wow. We call it a talent high. We took talent to all high school students at the area. High schools in the area. Wow. Believe me, there were some talented young people available. We have singers and dancers and musicians all kind. The show was very successful. Nonetheless, Talent High ended after 13 weeks. It was not become people because people did not like the show. But the problem was marketing the product, teen tones like that. There was no place but to buy it because the creator refused to do a business with drug chains. He insisted on showing it to independent drug next place anyway. Stores. Wow, okay. Okay. So it was almost impossible to find teen tone, even if you wanted to buy it. And still have it in a jar or two, something like that. Excuse me, okay. Maybe I should try eBay. Wow. Look back in the time, okay. I call how happy Darby Joe and I were. We were making friends and experiencing Southern California. It was an exciting time in radio and television. Hollywood, as always, was spicier, something like that. Epic center, something like that. Excuse me, okay, of the action. The country was also still in the feral, something like that, of post-World War II jubilant spirits, something like that. Solid economic personality, something like that. And nowhere was that more than evident than it was in Southern California. One time shortly after we arrived in Hollywood, we were invited to the party in Hollywood Boulevard. The apartment was not far from Hollywood and Vine, something like that. We were delighted to receive an invitation to Vine and Fine and Hollywood parties, something like that. Not one that was not far from us. It was one of those classic grand old apartment buildings built around the country yard. It was one of the nice old apartments. It was one of the big parties, something like that. There was a lot of people there of every description. The party got louder. Wow. And then louder and then louder, something like that. And then still louder. Wow. The department manager came out and complained about the noise. Wow. But the complaint was ignored. And in fact, the party got even more raucous. And the manager called the police. Wow. The manager came and told the fellow we live in the apartment, the host, and you have to call the police. And but the manager added, you go ahead and make as much noise as you want. Have as big as a party as you want, because small, you're gone. You're out of here. Seriously? That is harsh, dude. Anyway. Then the police arrived. Darby Joe and I did not want to discuss the party with the police because avoid it, and neither did a lot of people. They started disappearing in all directions. Darby Joe and I chose to step out of the pirate escape, and just so happens that we should join out there, but midgets like that. Sumo, anyway. He was a very nice fellow and funny, and we enjoyed talking with him while we waited for police to leave. I remember Darby Joe and I looked at each other, and it occurred to me that we really were part of Hollywood scene now. We're at the party in Hollywood Boulevard, and bit hiding from the police with the midget and the plot to escape. Our life became more of Hollywood only a few years later. Darby Joe and I were living in Laurel Avenue, an apartment just above Sunset Boulevard. When I decided to do the truth, then I received this call from Ralph because I have not started the show yet. It was December 1956. I walked down the cleaners near our apartment. I used to talk to a lady who managed the place, and I said, I have some news for you. We're going to host Truth or Consequences. It was already a famous show that had been for years, in the radio and television, and I told her that it was coming back. And I was going to host it, and it was my first national show. I told her what with Grime. And this lady would look at me and said, yes, now it was up to you. You got your break. Now it's up to you. All up to you. Because I had thought she was right. It's all up to me. But I knew I have Darby Jo in my corner. She's always there for me until October 19th, 1981. Earlier that year, Darby Jo was terribly ill with reported lung cancer. We had a lot of talks. One time she said, "Do not be afraid of being low. You'll be fine." Great confidence and traveling in solitude. She was absolutely right. I have found great comfort and happiness alone. Now I'm going to say this last page is so much fun, and she will be with Darby. Bob Barker would be Darby Jo reunited. Now 3 days after his 3 days during Bob Barker's death. Now, because he passed away last Saturday at the time when I'm taping this. There you go. Yeah, I'll miss her terribly. But I found some peace and solitude. I enjoy being alone and or being with my dog and 2 rabbits of writing of working in my office. A secretary, or whatever, something like that. She created a home for me, and home for comfort and secretary with our animals and things that we love. I still live in that home. I have routine what I take great comfort, something like that. Anyway, Darby Jo passed away on October 19th, 1981. Interesting thing, Darby Jo was born February 25th, 1924. Just about a day before Ocean Day. Wow. But it wasn't until 2007. So, wow. It was like Remix's birthday. Because watching this, Darby Jo would have been 100 this upcoming February 25th, which is Remix's birthday, yeah. My mother died on February 26th, which is actually, not surprisingly, My mother's birthday is on October 18th. Whoa. I'm not sure what years exactly. Darby Jo died on October 19th. Whoa. We have been out together since 1939. We have been 15 years old. She really was the light of my life. And I've never thought about married again. She was responsible for my many ways, friends, success I have ever had. We were irreplaceable from the times we met. I made blessings in my life, but she was the greatest of them all. That was basically chapter 10 of the book. Hooray for Hollywood, 1915 till Darby Jo's death in 1981, October 19th. I think the book was overall the biggest one I've ever seen. Overall, this was the biggest loss of Darby Jo's life. Especially the fact it was the biggest thing I've been seeing in that tape. Period. So there you go. And that was episode 32 of Book Reviews. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for the next one. It's going to be Lunchtime of LJP. So let's go episode number 793, because I'm doing this next, and then we'll do another. I'm gonna do tapings of my Switch series and book and series from Starcade. So I'm about done with Switch series from Starcade until tomorrow. Not sure when, but probably another day. But we'll see what happens. Now, excuse me, I gotta get my lunch ready and finish up my book reviews ready, and we'll be done with that other projects. Until next time, this is Jerry's Papa Baby. Good morning, so children, the Jefferson out. See ya.